On this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast, we feature Lady Fancy Pants,
Butcher Woman,
fucking Anna,
and Baby's Backseat. Let's do this. Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. We are back with Season 12, Episode 1. I'm Diana.
I'm Liz. Yeah, we don't remember how to do this anymore. It feels like it's been a very long time. So what have you been up to? In this time in between Season 11 and Season 12.
Yeah, it's been a minute. So we've saw some some music. When there was a really cool event in Dallas called the Deep Ellum Block Party, and I got to see a lot of music and events all over the Deep Ellum neighborhood in one day, and that was exciting and fun. And then we had Thanksgiving, and we found puppies, and I got a bathroom renovated, and I started baking, and then the puppies got adopted, so I don't have puppies, and we're getting ready for the holidays. Yeah. How about you?
Well, and so I took our break to go to New York City, and I went and saw the Muppets on Broadway, which you can no longer see on Broadway because the show was so bad they closed it. But, I saw it before it closed, so there's that. And then I went on the Creation Supernatural cruise with most of the people who were on Supernatural, and it was nutso. There was only 150 people at that convention, so it was just a lot of personal time with pretty much all of the cast except for J2 and Bobby. But I got some quality time with Mark Shepard, and I feel like I do a drinking game this season every time I dance with somebody and they show up and we'll make everyone take a drink. But yeah, I feel like it got some good time with some good people. But it was definitely an experience. So I had adventure time with Mark Shepard where we went and ate hot dogs and talked about punk rock and life and love. And that was just him and 9 other people or something. So we just that was really cool. And I went snorkeling with Gil, and that was, oh man, the snorkeling wasn't great. I feel bad saying that, but we've snorkeled some good places.
Really good places.
And this was just off the crappy island in the Bahamas that Royal Caribbean owns. So it was just there was some cute fish, but it wasn't snorkeling off our reef or anything.
Right.
And it's not like you can have a lot of quality conversations with somebody when you're snorkeling.
No.
So yeah, so maybe, but also, it was fine, and he's from South Texas, so I think that's always, a fun thing to talk about. So we got some Texas conversation in there. And
nice.
Yeah, I went swimming with the pigs, and that was not with any supernatural, but there was people from the con there, just no celebs with me. But I don't care because there were pigs, and the pigs are adorable, and there's tiny pigs, and there's giant pigs, and
yes, I posted the pig picture on our Instagram too. So.
Yeah, I realized I should be talking about Ruth Cottle grabbed me by the shoulder and told me she hoped I had a good time at a party, and I felt like she was really being sincere and talking to me, but I'm just pigs.
Yeah.
Yes, but
it's reasonable. It's
fine. No. So it was. I don't know if there's going to be another one because of the turnout. And I think the logistics planning for it apparently was not so easy for them. So, but from what I heard from the cruise celebrities, they would like to do it again. So cool. But I don't know, that was the biggest cruise ship I've ever been on. And that is more people than I like to be around and be stuck with. And also there was a lot of families, although and they will make you pay to get away from those children, and they know that you will pay. They were like, so it's like, oh, what, this beach, like no children? Yes, I will pay to go to that beach. Oh, like this side of the boat, like, oh, that's the thing. I will go find out wherever the children are not and go hang out there. But
yeah, that makes sense though. But pictures were great. Go look at our Instagram. And I appreciated all the updates while you were there, and I was a little jealous.
yeah, the panels were really great. It was such a small crowd that they barely even had microphones out. Like, they didn't do the standard thing where you would have people line up, for the questions, just like this kind of like raised hands and just called out people in the audience. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it was
a lot more personal.
Yeah, it was very personal, a lot different vibe, and yeah. So I think it was a little intense for some of the celebrities too, just like how personal it was.
Oh,
but
yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, but saw a lot of their legs, saw a lot of them in shorts, which is just not something you typically see. But saw Rob Benedict's legs, very pale. Matt Cohen's legs, those are really good. He had really good legs. He's also he's really happy with all the tattoos of his that he drew.
Okay.
But, he was just showing them off and telling all the stories of them. But, just showing off his thighs. But, the dance parties were great. DJ Qualls, of course, was just the nicest dude ever. I can't, if anybody has a bad story to talk about him, I'll punch you in the face. But I just don't think it would exist.
I think you're right. I think it's impossible.
Yeah. So, God bless DJ Qual. So, yeah, he was just really fun on it as per usual. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about it, but yeah, the panels I said were good. Those were really, really personal. Got to hear some good stuff, good stories, and
activities make it a little different instead of just panels. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, the hard thing though, I will say this is, in order to really do a lot of things, you would have had to spend a lot of money.
Yeah, I got that vibe from when we and I were talking when you were planning.
Yeah, because everything that you do, you can do things on the cruise that are not add-ons, but anytime, which is fair, but anytime with a celebrity, so any adventure, costs money. So filling up your time, if you wanted to do those things, did cost.
Yeah.
But there are also, this cost a lot less than a lot of the auctions for VIP meet and greets than at the other conventions, because there were so few there. Nobody, they pretty much just were flat out value, so there was enough to go around, I guess, is how I'm saying it. So
that makes sense.
So that is, that's my perspective on the Creation 2025 cruise.
Oh. Thanks, tour guide Liz.
Thanks, tour guide. Yep. And now, some just general SPN fam news. Besides that, Jared show is getting developed. So Supernatural is leaving Netflix on December 17th, but it moves to Prime Video on December 1st, and you will also be able to watch it on Peacock. So that is just a thing that is happening.
Yes. That'll be an interesting transition. For sure. And then, everybody's been talking about the new Jared shows. So that's exciting too.
Where he's going to be a doctor in the country.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So let's get into season 12. And season 12 is here, and season 12 has some special things in it. And our first episode, which is Keep Calm and Carry On. And Keep Calm and Carry On was the slogan for the British government during World War II, and Dean has mentioned it. And this first aired October 13th, 2016. And it was directed by the man whose name I learned that I've been saying wrong this whole time while I was on the cruise. but I can't remember the right way to say it. So now I'm just like terrified and looking at his name. And so his first name is Phil, and he wears really great suits. And it could be like, because I always said Scriccia, but that's not it. Apparently it's like Scricci. I don't know, but it was something way more Italian. And it is how Richard Speight said it. I was like, oh shit, but it was live, so it wasn't like I could go back and I tried searching online, seeing like maybe there's an interview where somebody like, and there isn't. Oh, I think maybe he was on one of their podcasts. Yeah, their podcast has like millions of downloads, and they kept saying that, and I was wanting him to stop. Y'all are making it kind of made me feel bad, but anyway, so Phil S. directed this, and it was written by Andrew Dabb. And so we start off, with the road so far, and so was actually, that was good. I always recommend it when people watch the road so far to see the recaps and the things that were important from last season that they wanted to point out. Sam's been shot.
And the song that they're playing on the Netflix version is Bad Boys by April Wine.
It is.
So,
and we kind of get the summary, though,
of where things left off.
Yeah, and Sam's been shot. He thinks Dean is dead. Amara brought Mary back from the dead in that fucking nightgown, and that's where we're at.
Yes. And so we open with Dean and Mary looking at each other in the middle of a park at night. And Dean was trying to get a cell signal. Is it? Oh, I thought it was a park.
Yeah, I think it's a cemetery.
That made more sense. And so he was trying to get a cell signal to figure out where the fuck he was, because he was in that garden with Amara and Chuck and just wandered off. So he's trying to figure out where he is. And now he's like, wait, Mom, are you real? And he tries to touch her, and she's like, who the fuck are you? She puts him on the ground. Which is pretty funny. Yeah. And he's like, no, I'm your son. She's like, no, my son's 4 years old. And then it gets sad, because now she starts remembering that she died. And that seems very traumatic. That seems like something pretty upsetting to recall. And so she lets him up, and Dean's like rattling off facts to prove who he is, because Dad told him all of these things. And he describes the story of John and Mary meeting and their first date, and then how they had Dean and they had Sammy, and she's like, and then I burned, and realizes that she's been gone for 33 years.
And then he says, hi, Mom, and they hug, and then I get something in my eye. And then we get the season's title card, which looks a lot like the meta letter sign. What could that mean? Who knows?
Well, we cut to a young man driving a truck through, like, on a dirt road, like in a field, and we've got Diesel Smoke Dangerous Curves by Tom Powder playing. It's a strong music episode. Not every episode has, like, titled music, so it's kind of interesting.
That they paid for.
Yeah, like, a lot of times it's just, like,
sometimes it's just Chuck doing covers.
Right, yeah. And so anyway, we get a ball of fire cuts through a billboard and hits the ground next to the dirt road. And this guy, of course, gets out of his truck to investigate what the fuck just fell out of the fucking sky, like you do. And it's Cass. Castiel crawls out of the ground.
Yeah. And this is the first time that we have an angel when they get done with a signal, showing them being like a cannon going through the sky somewhere. So that is now we know that's what's happening when you hit a sigil.
Yeah, that's pretty awful and kind of hilarious.
Yes.
All of the things. And so this guy's like, or Castiel's like, where am I? And the guy's like, Earth. Just seems like reasonable.
I love that the guy thinks, one, he seems like a stoner, so I automatically love him. But he's just like, I'm assuming you're an alien. That's just what I'm going with.
Like, yeah, I mean, obviously. And Cass is like, no, how far am I from Lebanon, Kansas? The guy's like, 3 hours, maybe? And so Cass boops him unconscious and steals his truck. Poor guy.
Yeah, you don't have what kind of truck that is? You're going to want to look it up, probably. I think this is becoming Castle-struck, I'm just saying. So eventually you'll look it up. All right. So he's now committed grand theft larceny.
Yeah. I was like, damn. All right.
Grand theft auto. So
back to Dean and Mary.
And Mary wants to know how John died, and Dean's just like, he gave himself up for me, and this is all just kind of like really sad, right? She's
So
surprised
sad.
that he's a hunter, and that John was like an asshole and raised him and Sam that way. And then Dean has to go through all the times in the past that they've met.
That she can't remember because her memory was wiped, but he remembers. Oh, man, this is so like... Oh, it's
very
hard.
uncomfortable. It's kind of like, did Amara do you a favor here, man? Like, this is maybe not so great. So they get all caught up now, and he's just like, we're going to go home.
Yeah. So...
And who do we go to? But Lady Fancy Pants. And there's just Lady Fancy Pants knocking on a door.
Yeah. She is... getting the attention of Dr. Gregory Marion because she needs his help. And he's annoyed because it's fucking 6 a.m. and this lady's banging on his door. But she says it's an emergency. Even though he's a veterinarian, she needs his help because she's got Sam bound and gagged in the back of the Escalade with a 38 slug in his leg.
Yeah.
Rude. And the doctor's like, this veterinarian's poor dude's like, no. So they threaten him and pay him off. So they threaten him with a pistol and show him a shit ton of cash.
Like, what's going to work, right? I mean, he's not afraid of being threatened, And then we go somewhere. And...
yeah.
And we find Crowley, and he has found someone with their eyes burnt out.
Yeah. And he hides because 2 demons show up that are there to clean up this mess, basically. And they are discussing...
the most amazing comedy relief, like, ever. Jarvis and the other demon.
Yes. And they're discussing if this is stupid, but they're just doing what Lucifer says. And they're talking, and while Crowley's hiding, one of them talks about his experience possessing a 14-year-old girl and snot crying about bays and the busted ass bitch on ice.
Hard being a 14-year-old girl is pretty good. So, but you've got all those hormones. And Crowley has pulled out an angel blade at these things, but our demon minions just get to cleaning because they're good little minions.
Yes. So we go and see Tony on the phone with her child in a safe house. She is now in her whatever...
And the way she talks to her kid on the phone just makes me hate her even more. Just like, oh, so Tony, babe, so sorry that I'm not going to be there. Just lie. And it's just, oh, God, I hate her so much. But, and Sam doesn't have any shoes on.
Yeah, and Sam is, he's barefoot chained to a chair. And there's a woman who... And I didn't know her name at this point. I think I call her woman, then I call her torture woman, but her name is Ms. Watt.
Her name is Miss Watts, and I just pulled that from the transcript. They don't say it in this episode. Did she die? Yeah. And so you just don't really know that, but I mean, you could also call her Bitch Lady. I think I had her as Bitch. There's a few other, I think I had another choice names for her in here, but yeah, she is Miss Watts.
Yeah, and she cattle prods Sam to wake him as Tony comes down, because she's going to come interview Sam. Okay, apparently. That's her plan. And Sam's like, no, I'm going to kill you both and then walk back to town. Fuck y'all. But Tony's like, no, that's not what's going to happen.
She gets really offended when Sam calls it the Englishman of letters, and she's like, yo, no, it's the British.
It's funny. I love that.
But we find out that the British men of letters have been watching Sam and Dean for a while now. And kind of like we've been watching them just fuck up the world and just being like...
But like that Sam's like, then where were you when we needed fucking help? And she's like, that's a fair question, but some of us really wanted to get involved, but the old men wouldn't allow it.
Yeah, the old men thought getting involved was overstepping their bounds. And he promises, she's like, look, I'll answer whatever, which is kind of like, I feel like they escalated this very quickly, right?
Yeah.
Like, we've already gone to like shooting and cattle prodding, and they couldn't really just be talking here. And she's just like, look, I'll answer whatever you want, and then you can walk out of here. And Sam's just like, fuck you.
You already shot me, bitch. Screw you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like, he's like, no, I've been tortured by the devil himself, and you're an accent in a pantsuit. And so then that's when they decide to start pouring cold water on him.
Well, because he did have to poke the bear, right? And sometimes just like, you went a little, you kept pushing it. And then they start some water, and then we start with some Gloria's Padalecki getting soaked wet footage. And it is, a lot of girls' dreams, but also very wasteful.
It's not water conservation.
It's not water conservation. They are on a farm. This is probably coming from a well. I'm like, we're going to burn out a pump. Your well's going to break. You're going to have to call somebody. You're not going to have any water for a week. You're not going to be able to flush your toilet. Like, this waterboarding is not a good use of water. I'm just saying. So we go from what I'm guessing is waterboarding. Is that what this
kind
is?
of. It is and it isn't.
Because waterboarding, like, you have it goes in your mouth, right?
It's that, or it's like on your face, a little bit more face centric, I thought, and it was like more like face mouth, like
drowning.
Like you're drowning.
Yeah.
And then, and I don't think the water temperature is as important in waterboarding. I think this is supposed to be very uncomfortable because it's cold.
Oh, I thought this was just more flash dancey.
Oh, well, that too.
He's a maniac.
He is a maniac.
I do have an amazing photo of Brianna Buckmaster's hair going. I think you may have posted it. Where it's going, and she was dancing to that. She was dancing to Maniac. Just so you know. So we go from the water torture to the bunker, and Mary is just like, "Meadow Letters is real."
And she found clothes. She is no longer in a nightgown.
She's just like, "Thank God, fuck God, I can burn that fucking thing."
But as they're walking into the bunker, they realize there is blood on the ground, and that is not good. So Dean's going to go poke around with a gun looking for Sam or Cass, and they see this sigil on the wall, which is not a good sign. So he gives Mary the emergency pistol that's strapped under the table, which I was amused by, and he tells her to stay put, which she immediately doesn't do and wanders off.
Left her alone. I would have taken her. Like, I feel like that seems like so he makes the choice of leaving there. And so she stops and she looks at the books because that's what I would do. But a loud bang causes her to hide and then pull a gun on Castiel.
Yeah. And she's like, telling him to put his hands in the air, But luckily, and Cass is like, where's Sam? And anyways, luckily Dean walks in and breaks up this almost very bad situation. And Castiel is shocked that Dean's alive because he also thought Dean was dead because of the soul bomb. And everybody's looking for Sam. And Dean explains that Castiel is an angel, not a hunter. And Dean introduces Castiel to his mom. Hey, Mom's my best friend.
Here.
And so there we go. And he talks about how Castiel explains that he was blasted away at 2:12 a.m. So Dean swiftly hacks all the traffic cams and is able to find exactly the SUV running a stoplight like 4 minutes later.
So why are there not some sort of camera surveillance at the bunker or some like 1940s gadget of like some sort of like some cool thing here? I think it's a complete fail. I think this is a fail. But we do finally cut from that to the garage where they have finally put baby in the garage. Finally.
Yes. I was very excited about our garage scene. I was pumped. And Mary is very excited to see baby. She has a little bit of a moment gazing at the back seat of baby, and Dean gets very uncomfortable.
Really? And then you're like, ew, like every Winchester is fucked in there.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Ew,
A lot of Winchester sex in that car.
That's a lot of Winchester sex juice.
Ooh.
At least mine will washes off, I guess. But
at least that car's been wrecked enough that the seats have probably been recently upholstered.
Stains everywhere. Things that aren't in the Impala when they take it on the conventions.
Gross.
Do you want to get in the back seat?
No, absolutely not. So, all right, we go back to the. What is this?
I'm just calling it the farmhouse.
The farmhouse. Okay, we're back at the farmhouse basement where Sam is wet and shivering.
Title of my next sex tape. Yeah, well, he's still stuck on screw you. Mm-hmm. And then she starts evil monologuing. But some of the things are pretty important and also kind of strange things to learn. So basically, Lady Fancy Pants Tony tells Sam that they have warded all of Britain, so the moment that a monster steps anywhere, inside, anywhere in the UK, there's an alarm, and then they take them out and they kill them, and they've been killing all the monsters, and there hasn't been a monster related death since 1965.
That's crazy.
How does nobody know this?
Weird. Also, I was like, that seems like one of those things where it's like, well, also Britain's a lot smaller than the United States. That's, you know what I mean? It's like a state.
There is that. Yes. I mean, you're like, I feel like we're not going to get into the who's is bigger fight here, but
I'm just saying,
wouldn't Crowley be like, don't go to England because you're going to get
they're going to kill. Why are there no demons there? What the fuck? You think you'd mention that?
So I have problems with this. And so fuck that, we're going to go to lore. That was how we did our lore transition.
Nice.
All right, so, and the reason we're going to lore is we're talking about the British men of letters this season. And not the English, the British. And noted. A lot of people, including the Supernatural Wiki, say that the British letters is like the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, who was a order group in the late 1800s, early 1900s Britain. Anyways, we will get to them. That topic is huge, and spoiler alert, the British Men of Letters is not going away after this episode. So we're going to have some theme lore this season, and that theme will be the Golden Dawn. And today we are going to talk about a precursor to the order. But first, we're going to need some definitions for the season and for today. And these are words that I find myself having to look up over and over again. So I just kind of thought of let's just here is a quick nerd review on some nerd words. So esoteric.
It's our glossary day.
It's our glossary day. Okay. So the word esoteric, and I'm not going to put Diana on the spot and make her define any of these because they're also kind of hard to define, right? Which is where we're going over. So that is something that's intended to be understood by a small number of people with a specialized knowledge or interest. But if I say the word esoteric Christianity, I'm talking about a mystical approach to Christianity that features secret traditions that require an initiation to learn or understand. And in terms of the person we're talking about this week, they also present the idea that Christianity was not a new religion when it appeared, but an improvement or reformulation of a doctrine that was long pre-existing, right? So super secret mystery part of Christianity, right? So they want to go into the unknown, the esoteric. So, but if I say the word esoteric knowledge, we're usually talking about things like alchemy or astrology or magic with a K, right? So those type of things get bunched under that term. The term Hermeticism is about a system where they believe there's divine wisdom that's only revealed to a few, but those few can learn to become one with higher realities, and you can learn it. Additionally, like something like it was, I don't know, it also means solitary. So that's Hermeticism. We were talking about at some point Theosophy, which was a 19th century occult movement, which we've talked about here before, but real quick recap on that. That was a movement that had an emphasis on esoteric doctrine that was led by Madame Helena Blavatsky, who believed that there was an ancient and secret brotherhood of spiritual adepts known as the Masters, who were found around the world, but primarily in Tibet. And those masters had all the wisdom of the world, and they told Blavatsky about it, and then she told all the Theosophists. So that's pretty cool. And thankfully, this last word we're only going to need to know for this episode, and then I just want to forget it, and that's vivisection. And that is performing surgery on living organisms. The word can be a catch-all for just animal experimentation in general. However, in the time period we're discussing today, it's surgery on live animals like dogs. Look. So, all right, let's get into this. The primary source for this was Alan Part's Red Cactus, The Life of Annie Kingsford. Additional sources are in the show notes. So we're going to talk about Anna Kingsford, a woman you have probably never heard of. And she would become known as one of England's first women doctors, a staunch women's and animal rights activist, but she also founded what would be a forerunner to the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. And she would go by many names, but she was born Annie Bonus on September 16th, 1846 in Stratford, UK, to a reasonably well-off family in a large house complete with staff and a garden to frolic in. She had 11 brothers and sisters, although time-wise, not all of those reached to adulthood. Annie was said to have been strong-willed and independent-minded. I kind of feel a strong urge to add for a girl, but I think that's going to be implied a lot throughout this. But you can add it in your head like you would add in bed to a fortune cookie. So she began writing and publishing at an early age. Her first novel, with the banger title of Beatrice, A Tale of the Early Christians, was out when she was 17, although she may have written it as early as 13. So she's writing pretty early, goes to finishing school, where she won first prize in English competitions, but got in trouble for questioning the religious doctrine a little too much, which I get. So her father died when she was 19 in 1865. And for each of his surviving daughters, he left £5,000 each, plus an equal share of the residue, which I think maybe is like interest of the estate. I'm not quite sure, but that was put into trust funds for them. And in his will, her father made it explicit that their husbands, if they had them, could not have power over the interest they received from their trust fund. And just aside from being kind of unusual for the time, this would influence some things that happened later in her life. And there's some contention on the exact amount she received, but it was substantial and about $170,000 a year in US dollars today in 2025.
Substantial.
It kind of gives her some options, right?
Yeah.
And obviously she was raised in a household that was somewhat progressive in terms of women's education, and just obviously her dad was like, you don't have to get married, here's some money, right?
Right.
So though she didn't need to work, she wanted to give it a go, and this feels very Downton Abbey. In 1866, she applied for a clerkship at a local solicitor's office, and according to Alan Part, the solicitor listened with mingled interest and amusement, sat her at a desk, and gave her some copying to do. Then he went and called at her house and reported the incident to her family. And then she realized that he was just being an asshole, which is just like, you jerk. Like, you don't need to do that. Like, why'd you play that? So, the following year, she started a petition calling for women to have the right to control their property after marriage. And she also married her cousin, Algernon Kingsford, much to her mother's chagrin. Anna was thought to be quite pretty, had an impressive dowry, and could have married a rich man, which Algernon was not. He was just a clerk. Anna would later say it was because he promised not to interfere with any career she chose, and she thought a rich man would want her to manage a big house and do other wifely things, right? And this was not a time when privileged women had careers. Women still worked. About 30% of women in the UK had paid employment. Majority of that was in domestic services and textiles. Today, in 2025, that rate's about 72%. Give or take, lots of, you know, with those, they're stats. So, but, so that is a big difference, but still, it was still unusual for her just wanting to do anything, right?
Right.
So, but being that strong-minded person, when her mom opposed her marriage, Anna and Algernon just fucked off together for a couple of weeks, long enough to scandalize her mom into accepting the marriage. However, Anna would say it was a chaste vacation. So they get married when Algernon was 22 and Anna was 21. Shockingly, not appalling for the time. I always feel like when we do these stories, she was 14 and he was 20, he was 95.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's a very reasonable,
these are very
young
reasonable,
adults.
right?
Yeah.
So Algernon became curate and assistant to a parish priest or vicar in the Anglican Church of Atcham, Shropshire, a village some 4 miles southeast of Shrewsbury. This fact is not that important, but it is fun to say. In 1870, Anna was baptized in the Catholic Church, and she told her friend the chief reason was because she wanted to avoid the routine of the vicar's wife, not because she really was into being Catholic. So as a Catholic, she didn't really have
She just wanted to rebel against her husband?
Well, she didn't want to go sit at his services. So she doesn't have to go sit at any of his masses or go to any of the church social things that vicars' wives are expected to do.
Harsh. Okay.
It's just a way to get out of that shit. She's I don't want to deal with Peggy trying to suck up to the vicar's wife.
Oh no, man.
So yeah, this is also the year she turns vegetarian and starts telling everyone about it. I'm just gonna give you a spoiler about Annie. If Annie was our friend, we would call her fucking Annie. I'm just telling you right now.
Noted.
That is what we would call her. All right, so fucking Annie. In 1872, she buys the Lady's Own paper, a weekly journal of fashion, fiction, music, literature, the drama, and domestic economy. And she assumes editorship of the paper. So the paper had been running since 1866, and its content was kind of female, or what was considered women oriented at the time. Is fashion, gossip, hints for young mothers, sewing, gardening, theatrical things, stuff like that. Anna lasted 4 issues. She would not take any advertisements for corsets or leather products. She removed all domestic fashion and gossip features and replaced them with articles on temperance, women's rights, and vivisection. The new subtitle was A Journal of Taste, Progress, and Thought. The very first article was Coffee Houses or Gin Palaces by Alice Bell Legate, which advocated for coffee houses to counteract the gin palaces. She also included her address for a donation so she could open one. Other articles, including pieces on teaching women to dress and decorate their houses tastefully, women's education, and the first 6 chapters of Anna's novel, In My Lady's Chamber, a story of her deceased husband's brother. I'm pretty sure I typed that correctly. I double-checked it. That was the actual title. So the second and third issues started with articles against vivisection. You will be happy to know after closing down the paper, Anna did finish that novel and renamed it In My Lady's Chamber, a speculative romance, touching a few questions of the day. Nailed it. She published it under the pseudonym Colossa in the spring of 1873. All right, that year she also meets the fangirl turned friend Florence Finwich Miller. Flo, in a letter, explains what it was like to have Anna over for dinner. Knowing her to be a vegetarian, we made the family meal that she was to share on that line. I consulted a young man I knew, an enthusiast for pure diet, who subsequently gave up his other business to found one of the most successful of London's vegetarian restaurants. He suggested lentil omelette served with grilled mushrooms, macaroni cheese, and stewed apples and cream. My brothers enjoyed this vegetarian luncheon hugely, but our guest partook very sparingly of each course. She really enjoyed the dessert, some grapes and other fruit, for she announced she had recently come to the conclusion that the proper and natural food for man was uncooked, therefore mainly fruits and nuts. And that's what it's like to have fucking Annie at your house over for dinner. All right, so through.
So did she go raw vegan after she went vegetarian? She went to the
Pretty
raw
much
vegan
at that,
diet?
well, and didn't even like, she was like, so I'm coming to your house, you're gonna make me this special vegetarian meal, and then I'm gonna
And
tell
I'm
you
not gonna eat it.
afterwards I'm not gonna fucking eat any of it, and that I only want to eat shit that's raw. And then
After
I'm
you
gonna tell you,
cooked for
and
me.
I'm gonna probably tell you why extensively. So yeah, we've got a fucking vegan here. Sorry, no offense. I was a vegan, so I feel like I'm allowed to say things. All right. So it is through her friend Florence, though, that
It's not about being vegan or vegetarian. It's about how you communicate it.
Yes.
That's and how you
Yes.
handled it. That's the thing. Go ahead.
I would have eaten the lentil omelet. The meal sounds very interesting. So through her friend, though, we learned some more. So we learned that Algernon and Anna are now living together as brother and sister. They're no longer fucking. We don't know why. They just stopped fucking. We also learned that Anna loves guinea pigs, especially a big reddish brown male named Rufus, who traveled with her in a specialty built basket. I like her a little more for that. Yeah. So we get some insight into what kind of mom she was when describing Edith. Did I tell you that her child's name, Edith, is spelled Eadith?
No.
That's how she named her child. That's how she named her child, spelled it Edith. All right. So Florence said she was not at all a pretty child, totally unlike her beautiful mama.
Oh, no.
I dare say she simplified the ancient theory of heredity and resembled her grandfather, the successful ship owner. Anyhow, she was much enjoying the changes of headgear and coiffure when her mama, hearing our chat and laughter, looked in at the door to say coldly, "Don't take much notice of that child. If you encourage her, she will be bothering you all the time." Yeah, so maybe she wasn't the nicest mom.
No. Rude.
All right, so Anna decides she wants to go to medical school. And this is where she takes the name Anna. She'd been Annie before, but it's also like Nina or Nina or something. But she goes with Anna now. Has to try and figure out how to get into medical school. Kind of thinks about maybe I can like dress up as a dude. Thankfully, like she has like an experiment where she tries it, and like I think they do some like weird role playing with her husband. But that she decides that that's not the way she's gonna go. So she's gonna end up going to school in Paris. This year, she also meets this dude named Edward Maitland, a widower and writer who becomes fucking obsessed with her. He describes Anna as more fairy than human and more child than woman, for though really 27, she appeared scarcely 17 and made expressly to be caressed, petted, and indulged, and by no means to be taken seriously.
Ew.
If I could go back in time and punch somebody in the nads for something they wrote, it would be this one. He deserves a mad punch for that. So gross. But these two would like pretty much become inseparable until she dies. But I don't think it was romantic on Anna's side. I think this dude was obsessed with her and stalking her, and I think she put up with him because they worked together. Kind of, right? So Anna enrolls in Paris School of Medicine in 1874 and wanted Flo to go with her, but Flo couldn't afford it. In 1870, only 4 women were enrolled in medicine in France. And when she graduated, there was like 18 women altogether enrolled in, but there's still like 18 women at that point. So yeah, they made progress. Algernon, though, at his request, sends Maitland with Anna to Paris for the enrollment. I don't know. Like, it's weird. Like, her husband sends this dude with her, but apparently it was platonic. I don't know. Anna starts having all these like visions and lucid dreamings. She becomes more active in her opposition to vivisection. And the following is part of Anna's legend, and we have Maitland to thank for it. It probably didn't happen, but it's too good to leave out. So Anna's teacher, Dr. Claude Bernard, was lecturing about slowly baking live animals to death to study how body temperature works, and that pissed Anna off so much she flew out of her seat, yelled murderer, and then fled the classroom. After her outburst at Dr. Bernard, Anna says she became a spiritual thunderbolt and willed him dead, fainting from her fury and effort. Maitland says she wrote him, "Woe be to the torturers. I will make it dangerous, nay, deadly, to be a vivisector. It is only the argument that will affect them. Then she went after Paul Burt, a doctor notorious for his use of vivisection. He died in November of 1886. Kingsford then wrote again, I have killed Paul Burt, as I killed Claude Bernard, as I will kill Louis Pasteur, and after him the whole tribe of vivisectors. It is a magnificent power to have, and one that transcends all vulgar methods of dealing out justice to tyrants. So whether or not she wrote or said any of that, one of the strongest arguments against that is that it kind of goes against the magic that she practices, and Louis Pasteur did not die before Anna. We do know that she took to private classes to avoid dealing with vivisection, and she graduated without ever having to perform vivisection on any of the animals at med school, which was good for her. All right. She starts getting more and more visions. Maitland is recording them. Sometimes they were hypnagogic dreams. Sometimes she was in a trance while Maitland asked her questions. Maitland swears she never took drugs or was induced by mesmerism or hypnotism to receive the visions, just the intense direction of will. Although sometimes she inhaled chloroform for her asthma and that made her lucid. But everyone just inhaled chloroform all the time back then, right? So it was just, you know,
asthma?
Yeah. I mean, you get some asthma and here's some chloroform, right?
Sure.
So Anna also never claimed to have any occult powers. It was pretty insulting to mediums whenever she talked about them. Anna said she was simply a prophetess, one who sees and knows intuitively, and then says the gift was born to her, but she, in a past life, she was initiated into Greco-Egyptian mysteries, and therefore she recalls the truth primarily in that language, and after the method of the Bacchic mysteries, which is indeed the immediate source and pattern of the mysteries of the Catholic Church, Christian Church. So basically, she says she's a prophetess. She's not a medium or a psychic. She's just getting all this shit divinely, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. In 1878, they both traveled to England to the vicarage, and to safeguard her written revelations, Maitland carried them in a wallet strapped to his shoulders, and those make it into the country okay. But Anna was really concerned about crossing with Rufus because a woman had just been denied entry into England for carrying a lamb. But she smuggled the guinea pig in her skirts. And got him.
No.
This shit's all about the guinea pig, right? All right. So, she smuggles him in, and then time goes on. She, passes her exam. She just needs to finish her thesis. She writes about vegetarianism because of course she does. Typically the students had to defend their thesis in front of a panel, but at the last moment, her professor was like, we're not accepting your thesis because you're a woman. They end up letting her talk about it anyways, and she gets trolled like a motherfucker. Like, they're like, some of the reviewers being like, vegetarians frequently kill themselves, so like being in 2025 on Reddit, just pretty much the same. So most tragically, Rufus dies on August 15th on the Feast of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary at 9 years of age, and was sealed in a tin box to be taken to the parsonage for burial under a rose bush. Anna went to England to start a private practice, which she could do without a medical license as long as she didn't treat government or military personnel. Because she has a degree in medicine doesn't mean that she gets a license, right? So womp womp. So, and that's where we're going to end. We'll continue her story another day, next time we record. And we'll talk about, maybe she'll kill someone else with her brain. Maybe she won't. I don't know. We'll see. Dun dun dun. Fucking Anna and Rufus. Rufus is a true hero of a story. And you think we've heard the end of Rufus.
Oh, I'm sure we've not.
We've not.
God. Oh, God.
All right. So back to Lady Bitches torturing Sam.
Yeah. So Sam is like, look, you know what? So Tony's like, hey, so we are going to make things better because you've fucked off how y'all handle monsters here in America. So you need to give us all your hunter contacts so we can do it better. And Sam's like, what are you going to do? Tie them to a chair or worse? No, go to hell.
It really is an interesting thing. It's like, so this is your mission. This is your plan. You're going to come to America. You want the hierarchy of the hunters and you're going to train them. Okay.
But like, this is how you win us over, is by like break in, shoot, and torture. This is a dumb plan. Anyways, so now Ms. Watt is going to move on from cold water torture, to a butane torch that she is going to burn Sam's foot with. And this looks awful. It's very upsetting to watch.
It's very upsetting to watch. And but I mean, Padalecki has nice feet. All right. And so we go from that back to our favorite demon
duo.
Our demon duo, our laugh factory over here. And they're at another cleanup site.
Yeah. We've got a house with like a family that all the eyes are burnt out. And
like relief was the word I was looking for. God damn it. All right.
No. And one of them's like, says it's gross, which I think is hilarious. But Lucifer calls and they're like, hey, and basically he cannot come and join them there because he knows they're being followed. So, and Crowley's like, Crowley's like, yeah, you are. Ta-da.
You are. It's me. Ta-da. And yeah, and we learned that these, like, they're so gross because this is like what Lucifer has just been burning through these vessels as he's been trying after Mara ripped him out of Cass.
Yeah, he's just body hopping, trying to get a new vessel. And these demons are like, what the fuck ever. We're still on Team Lucifer, Crowley. We're not interested in being, on your team here. So, and Crowley's like, okay, whatever, but I'm going to kill Lucifer and y'all, so it doesn't matter. And then he stabs both of them.
They made the mistake of taunting him, and he stabs them. And then Crowley figures out that one of the family members in the picture isn't there. So he has a lead.
He has a lead on what body Lucifer is in. So Dean and Castiel and Mary have located the driver of the Escalade that Tony transported Sam in. It's just so complicated. Anyways, and he's like topping off the washer fluid. I don't know. Anyways, but he plays real dumb at first about who Tony is until Castiel headbutts him twice. And then he's like, I don't know her name, but he gives some intel. It's kind of funny. So we go back to the farmhouse where we see very, very, very bad burn on Sam's foot.
Yeah, but Miss Watts has run out of butane, so that's good. And she's just like, I cannot believe, like, anyone can take this much pain without breaking, and we need Mr. Catch now.
Yeah. And Tony's like, he's a psychopath. I don't want to call him. And she's like, so we're not going to break Sam's body. We're going to break his mind. I was not even trying a British accent. I was just making a shitty accent, an evil accent. So just to be clear.
To be fair. And so she has a syringe, and then we go
a giant syringe.
But we're going to cut from there to wherever when they're tracking them down.
Yeah. So we are at it is a coffee and berries cafe, which I think is a really weird business model. All they sell is berries and coffee. Like, because you see, it's like little containers of berries and then cups of coffee. I don't know.
I want some pie. The pie was really good. So I think it's a coffee and pie.
I saw little cups of berries. I don't know.
No, they had a really great pie there because I have a comment about I really wanted that pie. So yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe they had berry pie. Maybe that's what I missed. I was just very confused for a moment. So Mary is just very sadly taking in the fact that everybody is on devices now because this is our modern society.
This was way back before, like, things weren't even bad. Social media wasn't even a thing then.
It was. I mean, we're only 10 years ago. Not even 10 years ago. So, I mean, I guess it was already then. It's just worse now.
It was not, no, Instagram was not invented. Like, it was a different level. Anyways, so...
Either way, so yeah. And so they've got coffee and they're talking about his, he's trying to relate to her about how jarring it was when he first got to Earth, which is a weird thing to be relating to her because she's not new to Earth. She's just new to this modern time. And yeah. So, and then she's
Yeah, and she's heard of people coming back from the dead before, and she plays it off like it's no big deal, that like that's something that hunters just know about. I'm like, is it? Like, okay. But her brows are really good.
They are really good. And then Dean's like, well, I found out about the airplane that these people arrived on, but it had diplomatic registry, so the records are sealed. So whatever that means. Either way, they are going to go find, they see this veterinarian dude walk by, and they know they need to go talk to the veterinarian.
Yeah, and Dean's calling Tony Evil Elsa, which I do appreciate. And so they pull a gun on the vet, and they found out that she gave them $100,000, which seems excessive. And then Cass gets really aggressive.
He does, but student loans are a bitch.
They are.
And he's, at the end of the day, the doctor, you know, the doctor got paid, and another woman showed up, and so Mary's like, but is that really all you know? And the doctor's like, yeah. And Mary says, hurt him. Mary goes fucking hard.
She does. She don't fuck around.
And the doctor's like, I have a phone number. So we have Dr. Marion now has confessed that he has Tony's cell number. So we have another lead.
And we go back to our farmhouse, and Sam wakes up. They've at least bandaged his poor foot.
And unchained him. He's on the floor. And he is, feels that he has some kind of a wound on his neck. So he knows he's been injected with something. And he sees all the cameras on him. And so he's kind of like stumbling around. And we've got Tony and Ms. watching him. And Tony's very cocky about he'll be begging to answer questions to make
very
it stop.
Evil. It's a very evil thing to say.
Yeah, she's so gross. Ugh. Anyways, but then Dr. Marion calls Tony, and she answers because he's just checking on his patient, and she's like, I'm going to hang up now. I don't trust this.
Yeah, you're doing a very bad job of faking this call.
So sus. But Dean gets on the line. He's like, listen, bitch. I'm like, okay, there we go. But she's like, oh, no, this is a problem that Dean is not dead.
Yeah, we thought he was dead. Oh, okay. And so Dean threatens some more, and then he breaks the phone with his hands. And apparently that wasn't even a pre-broken phone. Ackles just busted that phone with his hands.
Really? He just folded that phone in half.
Hands. Yep.
That was not a foldable phone, in case anybody was wondering. I was like, oh, he just tried to close it's not a flip phone, and he just tried to flip it. Oopsies. Well, Tony is distraught about this situation, about the Dean sitch. So we've got, and Dean is pissed. That's what we know. Sam is hobbling around in this fucking basement. And he's clearly starting to hear things, including a very annoying, loud, high-pitched noise. And then starts hallucinating dead people, which is sad and unfortunate.
Yeah.
And it's just not good stuff. Mom, Kevin, all the things. Everyone's dying. That's all his visions. So Dean and Cass and Mary are going to drive back to the bunker, which I don't know if it's the best use of time, but apparently that's their plan because they want to trace Tony's phone. But suddenly they get T-boned, which seems kind of random in this little dirt road, and Mary gets knocked unconscious, and poor baby's fender's fucked up. But who is it? Oh, this is not a random T-boning. This is an intentional accident caused by Ms. Watt.
So she's really scary. That's there. We go to the farmhouse for a moment just to see Sam still in his hallucinating dead people game. And then we cut back to the road where Miss Watts is putting on some pretty fancy brass knuckles.
Are fancy. They got sigils on them and shit. Mm-hmm. They're glowy stuff. I don't know. And she informs Dean that he should be more careful with the location services on his phone.
Which is what they were trying to track them, but they just didn't track them fast enough. So, anyways, they fight. And she kicks both Dean and Cass's ass and takes Dean's gun in a very embarrassing way.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Back in the farmhouse, Sam is now hallucinating Dean saying that everyone's dead because of Sam. Out in the road, Dean and Ms. Watt are fighting again for round 2. Cass is fighting also, and she kicks both their asses again. She's kind of a badass. She's scary.
She's really scary, but she makes a mistake after she takes a gun and looks like she's going to shoot them. Instead of just shooting them, she doesn't shut the fuck up. And when she doesn't shut the fuck up, here comes Mary.
Yes, that is correct. And Mary stabs her with an angel bite. Yay, Mary. All right. Dean says, thanks, Mom. Though the gun does go off multiple times as she's going down, which does scare you for a minute. Oh, no.
Yeah, it does. But it just kind of shoots off in the air. So we go there to then, like, speaking of scary, we go from there to the farmhouse where it looks like Sam is cutting his throat.
Yeah, he punches a mirror and grabs a piece of mirror and looks like he's having a meltdown after he's being, like, because we're hearing him hallucinate, like, really, like, hallucinate here, being told to kill himself. And then he looks like he's slicing his throat with it. And then, like, collapses. So Tony fucking runs in with this cattle prod, and we see Sam on the ground with a pool of blood. And you're like, WTF is happening right now? But he was faking what? He just cut his hand. It was all a trap to get her down there. So good.
He grabs her by the throat and he starts to choke her out. But unfortunately, he gets cattle prodded on the stairs and she kicks him in the face and locks the door.
So bad. It's so unsatisfying. Anyways, and he's very sad because that is sad. Like, you worked really hard on this escape plan and then it fails. Mary is very upset that she just killed this woman, by the way. This is not a happy, like, yay, we won. Dean and Cass are hiding Ms. Watt's car and body in the woods, and Dean's found her cell phone. And Mary's like, no, I'm not okay. I ran away from this life. I didn't want it. I didn't want it for me. Didn't want it from y'all. This is not what anybody needed or wanted, and this is bad. And he's like, I get it. I wouldn't want it for my kids either, but for us, it's fine.
Do you get this? Do you, Dave?
No,
but dumb. He does get a saving people hunting things line in there, so that's good. And then Baby takes off. And we get a crime scene where we know that Crowley has tracked down our burnt out vessel, but it's too late.
Too late. So Lucifer is still on the run. And as Dean drives, looking very serious, with Castiel in the front seat, Mary in the back, Mary looking very sad. We have Solitude playing by Black Sabbath, and Sam being very sad on the stairs, and Tony watching him on camera. See.
So everyone's quiet and kind of bummed out, and that's how it ends.
Yeah, what the fuck? That's a really sad ending to the first episode of the season. Jesus.
Way to go. Welcome to season 12.
Right? Oh my gosh. Oof.
So, did we have people in this episode to talk about?
Casting couch. It's the casting couch. Were they on that show that time with that guy? La 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 la.
We have two people. We'll talk about Ms. Watt and Dr. Marion. So, first off, I am not going to be able to pronounce Ms. Watt's name because it is super British. Ooh. Is it Bronagh? Bronagh. Brana. Last name Waugh.
Well,
Bronagh. Yeah. Bronagh.
Probably.
See? I don't know. All right. Well,
Colin,
anyway,
tell us how to pronounce your name.
Yeah. She has an extensive background on soaps in the UK. So things that we may not be familiar with here, but a lot of time. She was Cheryl Brady on Hollyoaks, Sally in The Fall, and she's been an episode of Dairy Girls, which is something we'd be more familiar with here. Dr. Marion was played by Colin Lawrence. interesting. He is a British-born Canadian, multiple episodes of Supernatural, and he's also a rapper. But he's been in episodes of X-Files, Dead Like Me, 4400, Smallville, Fringe, Arrow, and The Good Doctor. He was Gumball in the film Y2K, G in House of the Dead. He was a cop in Fantastic Four, Janko in iZombie as a recurring character. He was a customer in 50 Shades Darker. He was Coach Clayton in Riverdale as a reoccurring character. He plays Thomas in Christmas in Everdeen, which is a movie Christmas series, and John Preacher in Virgin River, as a regular ongoing character.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what did you think of our first episode of season 12?
Oh my gosh. It was very action filled, right? A lot of jumping around, a lot back and forth. It definitely sets up for an interesting season. I like it. So the episode ending is very unsatisfying. I was like, damn it, give me something.
Yeah.
But,
they're on the road and everyone's sad.
I know. I don't like that. Give me something. So
yeah.
That's my only complaint. That's my complaint. But no, I'm intrigued. You really hate Tony, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're also just really setting you to hate just the British men of letters in general.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, we're probably not going to like them.
No. But it's like an interesting hate. It's not like the traditional, like, evil monster. It's more like
especially
you're
when
just
you have
very unlikable.
But I mean, they are very similar to the Council on Buffy and the Watchers Council. But I do think it's interesting that we have the American versus the British and what that ends up happening, right? Like the difference between the two and just, how British are they going to be?
Yeah.
Fuck the British. We all know how I feel.
Throw that fucking tea in the harbor. Anyways,
it's quite a way to start, and poor Sam and his feet. We got some very gratuitous
poor Sam. This is a shitty episode for Sam, right? He thinks his brother's dead and he's getting tortured in a basement.
Yeah,
awful.
It's a very, very horror movie for Sam,
right? Very
sucky. So will Sam get out of the basement? Will Lady Fancy Pants learn what she needs to learn? Find out all this and more this season on Devil's Trap Podcast. All right. Like that goes? All right.
Yeah.
Cheers, Jerk.
Cheers, bitch.
Devil's Trap Podcast is a Don't Get It production. Meow.
Devil's Trap Podcast is part of the Ship It Studios Podcast Network. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Devil's Trap Podcast, Twitter at Devil's Trap Pod, or you can email us at devilstrap@devilstrappodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave reviews, and share with all your friends. We're at all your favorite podcast outlets and at devilstrappodcast.com. I'm Babe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.